Here we go, here we go, here we go, here we go. It is Markets in the Morning. Let's go. Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is the Blockchain Backer, bringing you the latest cryptocurrency news and analysis. Welcome to Markets in the Morning. Today is Wednesday, August 28th, 2024. This is Markets in the Morning, where we take a look at the price action of the cryptocurrency market, including the Bitcoin price chart, along with the altcoin market. Take a peek over there at broader macro markets as we get ready for the stock market to open up here in the next 1 minute. Taking a look over there at gold and silver, the DXY or the US dollar currency index, and any type of crypto news and macro news that seems important. And then, of course, we just hang out and have a good time with each other for the remainder of the hour. But it is Wednesday. We're halfway through the week. So happy Wednesday, my dudes and dudettes.
It is Wednesday, my
There we go. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm surprised I could still rattle off that whole intro. Smooth. I think the hardest part is still somehow at the end of August, remembering 2024. And then before we know it, it's going to be 2025. All right, there we go. Stock market. Boom. It is opening up right now. How are we looking as it opens? Slight down to flat. I think we're going to get NVIDIA earnings today, which I think is what everybody is all hyped up about on how that will do. I think I've read articles on that people think there could be a $300 billion swing in NVIDIA to the upside or to the downside with whatever happens with that. Of course, we know the S&P 500 has essentially been held up by NVIDIA. So I think it's a big day that the market is waiting for to get through that at the end of today. So that'll come after trading hours today. So after 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and UTC time. I think that's right around 20. Right? 2000, I guess is how you say it. I'm American. We used 12-hour clocks. All right, let's go ahead and dive into what's going on in the markets today as we get the day started. You can see slight green today after a red day yesterday with the market pulling back in here. Bitcoin still continuing to maintain those higher stair-stepping climbs happening in here. We'll talk about, as we're approaching the end of August, of course, we're kind of crossing through the chasm of time of how long things have historically taken for this market to take off. We'll take a look at all those things. Of course, still continue to build that case that, well, it's really just a product of macro markets cooperating at the same time. And that, of course, has been the big challenge that we've dealt with for the last year. That's also why the big challenge was back there when we were in the extreme euphoria of March and April as the altcoin market had reached back to its 702 retracement. Still no macro cooperation happening just yet, but we'll take a peek at things from a cycle perspective and how much time has actually elapsed. As for Bitcoin with its current prices, nothing alarming happening in here currently right now. As we know, we're really getting much closer and closer and closer to how this thing has cooperated for the last 3 years. If we move over here to CoinTrader Pro, if you caught the video that I put out, maybe 2 weeks ago, maybe the beginning of last week, how we are missing it's 7 or 8 days worth of data here in the Bitfinex chart that we typically pull up on here. If we use CoinTrader Pro, this is going to pull it from CoinMarketCap. Really that our date of which things should be happening would be September 7th. However, when it comes to the altcoin market, we are now eclipsing through the longest time ever. One of those things that we've been keeping an eye on has been this one. Here we go. Litecoin right in here. Post-capitulation, you can really see back in 2017, we saw this start to take off. We saw XRP start to take off. And yesterday really marks the most amount of time we've ever spent in something like that. So we're now 1 day beyond that. Things to take a look at in here would be, is this one? I think it's this one. So this has been written about in a newsletter. You've heard a lot about being like August is the big test on cycle theory, right? Post capitulation, this time period was actually the exact time that the market expanded back in 2017 and back in 2021. They happened really at the exact same time. And post capitulation, we are now crossing through that chasm of time, or the cusp of time, of how long it has taken for this market to be able to expand. What were the things that were common between those two time periods? Stocks were expanding. What's the difference between now? We haven't seen stocks expand yet, right? But when we look at what happened with both of them, 2017 and 2021, both expanded at the exact same amount of time post capitulation. And now we're crossing through that time period here. Fortunately, you still have more time in here if you're going to be on cycle theory and repeating cycles. You're not quite there yet on Bitcoin, but we are starting to cross through it to be like, some things are going on in here. What exactly those are, time will tell. But as you can see, time has now started to elapse through. So we'll see how things go. But you had, for everybody who is looking at this market through the exact same lens of 2017 and 2021, we are starting to see differences happen in here. I think it was pretty obvious that these are differences to go back to the retracement levels and then make a big fall down from those retracement levels. It's very different than what we've seen in the past to be able to get that far and not be able to get through, but instead to do something more like this, get here and then pull back down there, right? That's very equivalent to what we've seen in this market right now, right? That's a completely different story. That's also very different than the banana zone, which I'm sure many of you have heard about, expecting the banana zone, everybody looking for that back in March, April, and May, because really we were right on time for a banana zone to end up happening, or the repeat of what had happened back in 2017 and 2021. This big drastic difference in the market has been no expansion, no breadth, no opening up throughout all markets, and we're still waiting on that to see if that can end up coming. However, this thing has still been on pace. There's nothing saying it won't do it. It's nothing saying that the Russell won't be able to pull that off. And there being some type of rotation out of big tech and the Magnificent Seven and into the other 90% of the stock market. But we're still just kind of in the wait and see time period to see if that's going to end up coming to fruition. My personal thoughts when it comes to at least looking for optimistic signs in the crypto market, I still lean back on this, that I think the market is very heavily swayed into cash, Bitcoin, and Ethereum. I do think this thing will let loose at some point. What day that's going to happen on, I'm not quite sure. It just keeps going and going and going. This one lasted 480 days. We're at like 430, I think, is what we're at currently right now. So feel, structurally there, time-wise, we're there, just waiting for something to be able to come to fruition in there. And of course, for the Russell to say, hey, we can expand, but we still just sit there waiting on it to do something as we do every week. Boy, it would be nice to not talk about that one day. It would be very nice. I think everybody knows that I get so uncomfortable back at retracement levels, and to spend this much time at it, I'm tired of it, just like everybody else is. All right, moving over to stocks. Of course, you got the Dow Jones open. It's down 62 points. You got the NASDAQ down 40 points. The S&P down 6. You got most of the market red. You got Apple slightly in the green, along with GameStop and United Health. The losers of the morning are Coinbase, Tesla, and ARK. And Coinbase was an interesting one as well, because Coinbase, of course, went back to its 702 Fibonacci retracement level, as the rest of the market did, as we saw over there in the altcoin market, and unable to get into expansion in itself as well. So a little story was being told there at the same time. Moving over there to gold. Gold's at $25.03, $2,503. A little stalled out there this morning. The dollar's had a big week. Dollar, did it creep below 100? No, it just got down to 100. Now sitting at 101.08. So big fall in the dollar. Not a whole lot of action happening in the rest of the market, or at least in crypto markets, for that fall to happen in there. We still just sit there waiting. But as we could see, the current fall that we've seen so far. I would be surprised if we test these lows again. We're ready to like go rocking and rolling in here. We could spend a couple of days in here, but I'm gonna guess by the end of the week we could try to push our way back up. But I'm gonna bet today and tomorrow we probably still just kind of play down here. There you go. Crossing through time. Again, if you're just tuning in here in August, we're now starting to pass through that window of the longest period for the altcoin market and the crypto market to be able to get into actual expansion. We already knew we got past this. We knew this banana zone thing wasn't playing out in there. But when it comes to actual looking at it from past cycles and the exact time they both ended up going into expansion, many people probably didn't know post-capitulation. They actually did happen exactly at the same time post-capitulation, which is both right in here in August. And so now we're crossing through that time. So, but fortunately, this thing, I'm still going to bet on it confidently. This thing will fall down. And this, of course, is your safety trade in here with Bitcoin, Ethereum, and stablecoins. So at some point, when that is, this week, next week, 2 months from now, not sure, but my bet is still that thing is done. All right, but there you go. That's how we're starting off our day. A little bit of a bounce after yesterday's liquidation. I think it was like a $200 million liquidation that took place yesterday as the lows continue to grind up in there for the crypto market. Moving over to news, I don't see it on here about NVIDIA, but that is the thing. Yeah, there you go. Retail traders are bullish on NVIDIA ahead of earnings, while others are not so much. I could see that, right? Like the hot stock for retail right now is NVIDIA, right? In 2021, what was the hot stocks? It was Tesla and it was Apple. You don't hear anybody talking about Tesla and Apple anymore. It's all NVIDIA right now, and that's where retail is at right now. And it makes sense. The Magnificent Seven, right? It's the one holding up the entire stock market at this point. Goldman is concerned on how quickly the market confidence is recovered from the August stock slump. S&P 500 futures rise marginally as Wall Street looks towards NVIDIA earnings. Abercrombie and Fitch posts a 21% sales gain, hikes outlook despite increasingly uncertain environment. Moving over there to crypto, TronCoin trims losses, beats Bitcoin and Ether as TON blockchain comes back online. I must have missed that. I didn't realize anything was going on with TON. I guess it went offline. I think that's the big news over here. Moving over to Cointelegraph, breaking Telegram CEO Pavel Durov taken to court in Paris. $1.3 trillion in tokenized real-world assets by 2030 is more likely than 30 trillion, says analyst. Elon Musk is worth 100,000 followers. Okay. AI versus human leadership. Debate over plan to govern Cheyenne with AI. All right. Bet more on the Bitcoin miners cashing in on AI. Rise of Telegram mini apps. Here's what happened in crypto today. Bitcoin's weekend rally fizzles under 64K. Why is Bitcoin price down today? Bitcoin price warning. Bitcoin Binance wants blood. Okay. We're just chatting away on the news. When we did members live stream, I was talking about, it was like probably the only thing that I enjoy doing markets in the morning. The only thing that drives me nuts, and you guys know it, is when we go through the news and they're like, well, just don't do the news anymore. So we're just going to skim it really fast. As you could tell, there's literally nothing of importance happening within the news. I guess if you're in TON, I don't have any TON. I don't really, not that I'm against it. There's just a bajillion assets and I can only focus on so many of them. It's not one that's on my radar and doesn't mean that it's not the next hot thing. It could be. I don't know. All right. K. Dumas says, BCB, did the planets align today? Well, that's, things to think about in here, right? So, like, not only are we crossing through the time period in which in 2017 and 2021, expansion was already taking place, or as many have dubbed it, the banana zone, which we're even past that. Interesting things to take note of. Well, one, we know we're like right in that window. Post-capitulation, what day are we on? 805. So today's like day 806. It was on day 805 days post-capitulation in 2017 that suddenly, like a flip of the switch, the market just turned on. Just out of nowhere, it turned on back in 2017. It's where we saw Litecoin take off. It's where we saw XRP take off. And that was occurring as Bitcoin was up here in these areas right in here. More specifically, it was really when we're like right in here for Bitcoin. But if you go just technically based on how many days it was post capitulation, it was day 805, right? And so today's day 806. Does that mean anything? I really doubt it, but how many number of days? But what you would hope to see is you would hope to see some type of signs arriving of things waking up in the market, excitement coming into the market, and some type of expansion coming into the market. But of course, we just don't have that over here in the stock market yet, which we're all tired of hearing. But, that's why this, again, like uncharted waters, we've talked about it, that this market has been different than what everybody using the exact same formulas, that there's just been this one element, and it's the only element that has really been different, but that element really just kind of grasps a hold of everything, which is this, and that, when there's broader market participation. So it's real hard for people to wrap their head around that the magical internet coins, sound money, and volcano magic is all really just a product of macro markets moving together, and liquidity flows and expansion and risk on all happening to get true expansions to go. It's much easier to believe in the magic of 4-year block reward halving cycles, and that's the driving force. But the driving force has always been this. And so that's the only thing that's been different this time around, is that we haven't gotten that element to kick in broader markets. And if that element kicked in broader markets, well, then we shut up about this. We don't talk about this anymore. And we just sit here and become moon boys and talk about moon boy this, moon boy that, moon boy this, moon boy that. But that, of course, has been the challenge in here as we get back to retracements, struggling to get through them, and then pulling back and now trying to find these bottoms, right? We're so far past that. It's hard to sit there and like in February, March, and April, screaming like a bear. It's hard to continue to do that. It's more of like trying to be optimistic. For me, it's trying to be optimistic and trying to find some type of local lows to come in here and for things to be holding in here at this point. Being worried and scared, it's uncomfortable here. It's like no question about it. But being like worried and scared like I was at the retracement levels, it's just not like that anymore. It's about trying to find those local bottoms to come in here, and we're still just awaiting. And it'll be real interesting too, because I've kind of thought about it in my head, and I'm not really sure how it would play out. That, what happens is we typically will see expansions take place here, and then crypto will expand, or this will expand and crypto will expand at the same time. It'll be real interesting to see if like we find a local bottom first, right? And then you shift your way up, and then you see the Russell expand, and then expansion could happen with it. And so it's still it's a very different environment, as you could see, like 2021, which is what a lot of references are used to, or even when we look at it from the lens of 2017 and 2021. We're going through some different waters right now. And I think I've communicated that pretty well, and the difficulty of where we're at right now in trying to get through there. But the thing to kind of hold on to of hope, right? That even these things, you look at it like this, I actually don't think of this as being like there's something baked into the cape of crypto that causes these things to all happen on these time schedules that they were. This is still all broader market liquidity flows happening, and it's something else going on, not crypto related, for these timing events to occur when they do. And so we haven't crossed through the chasm of time, at least for Bitcoin in expansion. And normally I just wouldn't care. I get it. This is like astrology for dudes. This is silly to look at it on timetables and say, well, it took this much amount of time. It must end up doing it because astrology. That would be true. If we hadn't behaved the way we've behaved, right? If you didn't have these events all aligning like every moment in here, all these things really happening precisely on time for them to occur, and ranges being left, and 200-day ranges and everything like that. If we didn't have like something to say, well, we have though, like we actually have operated on time, and it's been really freaking weird and annoying and kind of cool, but annoying and weird and bizarre at the exact same time, then we wouldn't be able to point to it. But we obviously know even the most recent one, the one that took place back there in October, we were looking at it at that time, and it was just a mere 5 days later. That was a big significant thing. After a 200-day range was eventually left, it happened within 5 days of when it was supposed to. So we know we're like at the next one, which we haven't been at for a long time. And that's really, for Bitcoin at least, coming somewhere around September 7th, September 8th. But when it comes to the altcoin market, one of those things is that we're really starting to get through the moments of time of how long it's taken post-capitulation. And again, I really just think this is a product of that's not there yet. And hopefully it shows up. But, we still are just at the whim of the market to get something going in here. And so we'll just keep on keeping on. Otherwise, as for the move that happened in there yesterday, no lower lows were taken out. It's still just a series of higher highs and higher lows. That's typically how these things do when you go into these recoveries. So I don't see anything that's getting me screaming and alarmed just yet. But we still just continue to march in here. So looking at the rest of the market, looks like there's a little bit of recovery happening over there, at least in the Dow, and then the Russell looks a little bit better than it did right at the opening. You got a few more things in the green now that the day is actually going. You have GameStop, Caterpillar, Apple, GE, AMC, Ford, Roblox, at least from this list, and there you go, United Health slightly in the green. I think we only had 3 assets in the green when we started the morning off. DXY at 101.11. As for the news, there's nothing. Crypto's doing everything it possibly can to try to write something. They got nothing. But when it comes to macro news and volatility events of what the market's looking at, of course, the entire stock market has really been propped up by NVIDIA. Every time we get to these NVIDIA earnings, it's always a big theatrical event. You will see Twitter spaces being held. There'll be thousands of people sitting in these Twitter spaces, listening to earnings, listening to people talk about it, what their take is on all of that, and likely some volatility post-market close, maybe even before. So we'll see. Otherwise, Bitcoin sitting at just under 60,000 in here, which is really just about where we were last week. When I changed the title, I kind of reused the titles a lot, just changed the dates and changed numbers in there, changed it from 59.5 to 59.9. So that's how much craziness has happened over the last week. But all right, there we go. That's it for today. I think we covered the news. We covered what's going on. NVIDIA is the big event this afternoon. As for crypto, still just stair-stepping in here. And we just keep on marching on. All right, let's go ahead and hop into the chat. Andy Philpott, my brother, gifted 5 BCB memberships. Man, thank you so much. Oh, wait, Frog, yeah. If you missed the intro, happy Wednesday. We are halfway through the week.
It is Wednesday, my dude. It is Wednesday,
I have a question for you guys. When you listen to my videos, or even here in Markets in the Morning, whenever I'm listening back on it and I'm doing the editing of my videos, I sometimes will hear a crackling noise when I'm speaking, like the microphone is popping or something. Do you guys hear that too? Or is that just totally my headphones that are doing that? I've always assumed it's just my headphones that are doing it. Okay. No. Okay, sweet. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Amazer Fraser, remember for 4 months, says, let's go down when we hoped up. Yep. Waiting for the expansion. Mod Barber. Hey, BCB, what's the line in the sand XRP shouldn't cross to keep the dream alive? What? We don't have XRP on the screen. Problem is XRP is one massively long range, and we could sit there and say all these numbers. I'd probably just look towards broader markets. I think at this point we just don't want to keep drifting as a market, and I don't necessarily say there's a number specifically on XRP, the asset itself, but more as the market itself, looking for expansions to happen. Right now is such a intense time, not like it hasn't been for this long. But of course, we're getting closer to those Fed cut dates, right? Of course, retail investors will all tell you cuts are super bullish. History will tell you cuts are super bearish. Right? And if you need a reiteration on that, I still see people posted on the internet. They're like, what are you talking about, man? Cuts are super bullish. Tell me that you're 22 years old without telling me that you're 22 years old. Oops. Right. So getting to a zero bound interest rate is bullish, right? But the process of getting there is the problem of the, what happens, right? You could just see in here what happens to markets in that process of getting to zero. So, and it's, we're going to find out, right, how things are going to go in that moment, if it's going to be a repeat of that or not. And we know that that's knocking on our door, and everybody's theories on rate cuts is going to be tested here pretty soon. And we don't know, but we can look back to the last couple of them. Right, other ones you can look at. Right, here's the NASDAQ. Our rate cuts super bullish. All right, here's the Fed funds rate. There's the NASDAQ falling 80%. All right, here's rate cuts. There's the NASDAQ falling. Rate cuts. Zero bound, then bull. So every time we get to zero bound, it definitely becomes bullish, but it's that process of getting there. And many analysts don't think we will see zero again. And to understand that, we'll look at and I understand your question. We'll get back to XRP in a second, but I feel like we're going to talk about this one for a minute. So this is the end of the great financial crisis. And right, this is until 2022. Right, Dow Jones. Right, greatest asset bubble of most of our adult lives. Right, I think have been an adult through most of this. Right, I mean, I'm alive through all of this, but I'm not an adult. I'm a kid through all this gloriness happening in here. But for most people watching, because I can see the age demographics of most people watching, this is the greatest asset bubble of most of our adult lives. This all happens during zero bound, right? And like we go through this incredible bubble, and so like, why does going to zero rates matter? Why is it good? Well, it gives you the ability to, one, not only stimulate the economy and take out loans to buy automobiles and to buy houses, but it gives you the ability to refinance your existing debt. And why would that matter? Well, it's because, if you only have $100 that you can spend per month, and if all of that, for example, is going, I know this is we'll change the number, like 1,000. I don't know, it doesn't matter. Still 1,000 isn't enough. But if all of that is used to pay for your debts currently right now, then if the Fed funds goes down, right? And if you have an auto loan or if you have a home loan, and all of this is used to pay for those, and the Fed funds goes down, then you can refi and then make it so that your 5.5% interest rate on all of your loans goes down to 3.5%, which then frees up the capital to, instead of spending $1,000 a month on these, you're now only spending, $750. And so you've now freed up $250 of your capital to be able to spend on groceries, stimulate the economy, do all that kind of good stuff, right? And that has worked for the whole way down, because you could see that we go and cross through new levels and new levels. So any loans that were done here, well, 100% of people that have created any debt in here can now refi for a lower amount, right? And that's how it's worked every step ladder down, right? In this area right in here, everybody can refi all existing debt in here for a lower amount, right? And that's the same thing that goes on in here. Everybody can refinance all the debt that they created for the last 14 years for a lower amount, right? And then right here, they can refinance all the debt that they've done for the last 20, 25 years for a lower amount. And the story keeps going until we finally get to zero, right? And then you see it all in here that, right, it just goes lower, 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 boom, first high. So now you have all these years of all this debt that's been created down in here at these levels. How are you going to stimulate and free up that $1,000 if they're already at 3.5% interest rate on their house? How is lowering the interest rate going to get people to refi if the rate falls to here? All this debt was created below there, right? And so that's just the weird situation we're going into. I just wanted to talk about that because I'm not necessarily sure that there's a particular cent, a penny in here in this range that says it, but more of like if something fundamentally breaks in broader markets, right? Your question is particularly about XRP. I'm not sure I see a particular cent in here that tells me that penny means things are doomed. It would have to be more of like something clicks, something's wrong everywhere. And right now, as we get ready to go here, we're going to kind of find out how the market reacts and what does the market actually think about what we just discussed there with the Fed funds rate and existing debt. And will the market care about the Fed funds rate, or will the market hold the Fed hostage and say, ha, gotcha. You've started your cutting cycle. Now we're going to force you to go faster, right? Because once they start, they can't stop. Once you have crossed over the line, and you've gotten past hiking, you've gotten past pausing, and you've gotten into cutting, will the market then point the gun at the Fed and say, boom, now you're going to really cut because you've started? And where does that need to go to before the market is happy? Don't know. It's a weird time, and I know that everybody has their hype narratives to say that cutting is bullish, but for the last 25 years, it hasn't. We've only had 3 circumstances. It led to the dot-com bubble pop. It led to the great financial crisis, and it led to C19. That's what happened when the last 3 cutting cycles started. Right after cutting cycles started, we went into dot-com bubble pop, great financial crisis, and C19. Those are the 3 most recent largest crashes, and they all happened right after the Fed starts cutting. Will that happen now? Don't know, right? But I know that's what happened those times. So when people sit here and tell me cutting is bullish, I don't know about that. I don't know about that because of what we've seen, and also that dynamic we just talked about by everybody being able to refinance existing debt at lower amounts, right? That this is the opposite way. Right? That's now that way. And how, right? Like people who own a house right now, it is if the Fed funds goes from 5.33 to 3, can you refinance your house? No, because a mortgage rate's still going to be like 4.5%. Are you going to refinance your house at 4.5%? No, because most people are in that 3 to 4% area already. So the only way you're going to free up any type of capital that's allocated towards a mortgage payment is if you can refinance your home much lower than what it's already at. And a lot of people are in the high 2s and the 3s. And how are you going to free up that capital? A little rate cut isn't going to do it. You know what I mean? We'll see. So this is more paying attention to what the whole market's going to do. And I know it's the most unsexy take to sit there and say that XRP is tied to full broader market movements. The flip of the switch stuff and all the money stuff, I've never been a fan of it. It's all part of the whole market moving together. It hasn't taken off because the whole market hasn't taken off, right? This was your 2021. There is your 2024. So not sure if there's an actual penny on here, but more of like if there's an alarm bell being rung throughout broader markets, which is what we're going to be looking for in the coming weeks, right? Some big major failure happens on Bitcoin. I think the thing that would really be more concerning, Bitcoin goes and sets a new low. When Bitcoin sets a new low, it's really kind of giving a signal that the trend downward is still continuing. And that, we're passing through time. We're not expanding in broader markets. We're just hitting lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs. And that's what would be more concerning to me, I think, is if we actually saw Bitcoin setting new lows, more so than any particular number that XRP hit. But again, I remain optimistic in here because of just the dynamic shift, that the dynamics that are happening in the market right now, how offsides I think the whole market actually is in regards to its balancing currently right now. But okay. Mo 419, $5 if you skip your favorite part of the news. Thank you, Mo. I appreciate it, man. Proud father of 5, member for 9 months, says, hit the like button, my dudes. Markets move slow, but we are all going to make it. Thanks, BCB, for sharing your research with us. As always, it is top. Thank you very, very much. Proud father of 5. Again, you're crazy. You're nuts. I have 2. That's more than I can handle. I think you all know that. My daughter, the sweetest thing it's the classic story. It is the classic story. Oh, this is so great. Let's have another one. In the emergency room already. Pat, my man, thank you very much, dude. Gives 20 BCB memberships. Hope you're doing all right, brother. Thank you, man. XRPG says, market's waiting for Roaring Kitty again. What is Roaring Kitty into these days? Is he still into the dog toys companies? Or is he even in GameStop anymore? I don't even know. David gifted 5 BCB memberships. Man, thank you. I don't want to mispronounce your name. Kara? Thank you. David, he gifted 5, then he gifted 1. And then someone became a backer, but they don't have a message or a name. Ethan Davis, hey, have you tried any metrics to see correlations to what works for stocks with the Russell like you have with crypto? Have a great day. I think you need to elaborate, man. I'm not sure which ones you're referring to. If I haven't, I'd love to, if they just haven't come to my mind, but I'm not sure which ones you're referring to. Martin, hey BCB and backers, you mentioned ADA in a member stream. Would you be able to talk about your potential targets for it? Thank you. Well, somebody asked me, everybody's asking, is ADA dead? That's the question that everybody has. I personally don't think ADA is dead. I have made my bet on it. I believe it's my 4th largest bag, if not 3rd or 5th. I don't know. It's up there. I haven't looked at my bags in a while at the numbers, but it's certainly one of the biggest ones. Right? If the market goes into expansion, right? 4.236 on the market cap is what I'm looking for. I think that's typical normal stuff for me unless something deviates in the whole market. But that's really what I'm looking for if the market expands, which is around like $10 or so. However, we need evidence of that coming in there. So don't count your eggs before they hatch unless we can get something to change in the market to get an expansion actually kicking in here. Lenny says, hey, BCB, last week you spoke about how some projects will only retrace and not have full extensions. How do you go about identifying that? Right. So that goes back to discussions of the dynamic change that we witnessed in the cryptocurrency market in 2021 versus 2017. In 2017, you could just buy the top 10 coins by market cap, hold on for dear life, and 9 out of 10 of them would give you 70x returns into new all-time highs and absolutely go wild, right? That's what happened during those times. That was not our case in 2021. We watched a massive change in the market. You've all heard it. 2 out of 10. I've done newsletters on it. I've dove into all that data to show that. What the actual things were on each one, not sure what quite determines if it does or doesn't, right? But what we did go through is to try to say, well, what improves the odds? What category of coins did better? Rather than just buying the top 30 by market cap, what would happen if you bought the top 20 of coins that were being developed on? What happened if you bought the top 20 of ones that had the highest total value locked in them? What if you buy the top 10 that have high user levels on and NFTs, right? And what we noticed is that those improved the numbers of them that eventually ended up being winners, right? I do not know how you can go buy a basket of coins and get a 100% hit rate, because I've played with all the data. Good luck. Good luck to have the 100% hit rate. I think, if the market average is 2 out of 10, and if you can find a way to get to 5 out of 10, I think you crushed it out of the park. To identify which ones in particular are going to be really bad, right? Like one thing we did notice, right? So like we did go through and look at, for your question when it came to coins, like retracing versus new highs, out of the top 100, we wrote about this in the newsletter, out of the top 100 assets by market cap, I believe if it fell over 98%, it only had a 2% chance of setting a new all-time high. I believe if it was like over 94% drawdown, it only had a 6% chance, right? So we're talking about odds being 2 out of 10, right? Or 20% if you just bought the top 30. But coins that went down like more than 94% or 96%, you drop those odds from 20% down to 6% or 2%. So it went way down. Those were things, right? There's obviously some type of supply dynamic that's happening to inflation or insider selling that's happening in there. Those seem to be one of the ones that were very consistent in saying it's highly unlikely and improbable. Not impossible, but the odds shifted drastically if your coin went down 98%. Right? So I know there's a lot of coins out there that people are chasing and hoping and they're hyping and they've fallen that far, but the odds really dropped down tremendously if that happened. It means there wasn't demand there, or there's insider selling or strong inflation. Annie Philpott gifted 5 BCB. Lenny, thank you, man. It's 702. I saw it, brother. Thank you, man. Annie Philpott gifted 5. Brother, thank you. The Rational Biohacker. Chick-fil-A or Raising Cane's? That's such an easy choice. It's too easy. Raising Cane's all day. All day. If you had to line up KFC, Chick-fil-A, Popeyes, Raising Cane's, Chick-fil-A's in last place. Pat gifted another 5. Thank you. No fast food is good. Yeah, we don't eat fast food very, very often. The kids eat it more than we do, but that's because I'm getting old. If I eat it, then I feel like trash the next day. Pat, thank you, brother. Larry, good morning, BCB. Compared to the C19 crash on the daily chart, we seem to be doing an accelerated version of it. Are we on the hourly or 30-minute charts when comparing today to 2020? This is on the daily, isn't it? This is daily. Oh, this is AR, but there you go. There's daily. Yeah, this is certainly much more minimized, right? This is over the course of like a year and a half in here. Oh, this is more like a year, right? This is closer to 5 months. Can you lay total 3 over the Russell to show the correlation? I think we've done that many times, but. Right, so the peak of the market comes in on the same day, right? Remember all this waddling stuff we do here from January through April? Right in here. Russell breaks, new break, right? That's the capitulation of the market. That's the capitulation of our market. Long ranging action and then escaping the range together. And more ranging action. Thank you, the rational biohacker. I hope that helped. Thanks to BCB for always being here. Good, bad, or mostly sideways. I just left my 15-year career, and listening to Marcus in the morning always keeps me level since May of 2020. Thanks, my dude. Thank you very much. Yeah. Boy. Right. There's doing the YouTube channel, there's always like periods. And I know this from doing it so long now, because we're going on in November, will be the 5-year anniversary of the channel. That the roughest parts are always the periods where we're range bound for a really long time. And really a real tough one even we went through recently was just this one. Right. Going through that range down in there for that long, sitting that low. The market was defeated and everything like that. And then we shift all the way up in excitement and euphoria and hit the retraces and everybody's screaming in excitement. And boom, now back to that all over again. And it's always so short-lived, but then we go through the ranging all over again. And just comes with it, right? If doing it for 5 years, what I can tell you is that the ranges don't last forever. They do always come to a conclusion at some point. They don't go forever. But we've been through many of them, and we've been through some of them that last years. Andy Philpott says, good night, Pat. I think Pat's heading out, man. Thank you very much, Pat. Have a good night, brother. So, all right, there you go. Big sell yesterday. Nothing too crazy. Still continuation of higher highs and higher lows happening over there in Bitcoin. We're crossing through the chasm of time of the longest period post-capitulation. Yesterday marked the longest we've seen in regards to the initial bursting takeoff of things like we saw in Litecoin and we saw with XRP back in 2017. If we are looking at Bitcoin, the whole continuation of this ridiculous nonsense that has been right on time for 3.5 years. Jeez, 3.5 years. Can you believe Wall Street Bets, Lays Rise, and Diamond Hands was 3.5 years ago? Unreal. We'll keep our eyes on that one. And then looking over there at this thing. This is the thing I think surprised most people the most. And of course, geez, this one, the one we never want to talk about again. I look forward to not talking about it again. It's the Russell 2000. All right. I don't think there's anything else to cover here, you guys. I think we got it all. We are just in a wait. We are range bound. Look at that range on Bitcoin. Which started today, 6 months ago. How fun. Happy Frog Day, says Carl. Did you just pronounce chasm as chasm instead of chasm? Good to see you, BCP. Probably. I do not pride myself on pronunciation. I'm fine with it. But you know what I don't say? What's the word? No. I can't remember it. No, it sounds stupid. I don't know. I know my wife knows the word. What's the word that people like pronounce real weird? I don't know. It's not me. Or it's like people who say soda versus pop. All right. I think we got it. I think we've covered it, guys. If you haven't hit the like button, hit the like button on your way out today. I really appreciate it. We're getting closer to Fed cut in 20-something days. And then, of course, before that, we'll cross through the chasm of time. How am I supposed to say it? Chasm? Cham? Maybe cham is the S silent. But I appreciate you guys all for being here. Of course, you can check out the newsletter. We'll have another one of these out in just a couple of days here. You can check that out at blockchainbacker.substack.com. Of course, check out bcbacker.com for over 40 videos and 11 hours of content teaching you how to set up your own charts. The S is not silent. Huh. How about that? Teaching you how to check out bcbacker.com. Set up your own charts and indicators. There you go. Website. There you go. Newsletter. Have a great day. I hope you're all doing well. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for watching. Let's see if we can nail it on the way out. Have a wonderful Wednesday.
It is Wednesday, my It is Wednesday, dudes.
Have a wonderful Wednesday. And like I mentioned, we are in a beautiful range. So every day of our lives, keep an eye on the Russell. Hopefully something comes from it. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Thank you all so much for watching, for your support, and for being here. Thank you, guys. Have a great one. How do I do this thing? That's it. Thank you so much for watching. If you could, please like the live stream and give it a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you can be notified of when I create new content and when I go live. As always, this is not investment advice and I am not a financial advisor. But if you ever need a pick-me-up or a little bit of reassurance, just remember that the blockchain backers got your back. Have a good one.